Hi everyone, welcome to Life Change TV. I'm Zoe B and today I have with me Mhairi Gordon-Preston and she's joining us all the way from the UK. Mhairi is a coach and she specialises in helping professional women change their careers. So today she's going to talk to us about how she personally transitioned from a graphic designer role through to a fish scientist and then through to a coach. I cannot wait to hear about how that all happened. Mhairi's also going to talk to us about some really big challenges that she encountered during her life and how she overcame those. Welcome, Mhairi. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Zoe.
So tell us a little bit briefly about what you do now, and then we'll kind of get stuck into all of the juicy bits in a moment.
Okay, great. Well, as you were saying, I help professional women, particularly those who are unhappy with their current jobs, to find ways to leave their miserable jobs behind and go enjoy a new career that they love and which pays well.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Sometimes people are a bit worried that they might get paid less or they're not sure what to do. And help them meet all the challenges that are standing between them and their dream job.
Yeah. Do you find, are there patterns? Is there one particular thing that people sort of tend to have a blockage with, or is it different for everybody?
It's a bit of both.
Yeah.
There's similarities and there's some differences. So things that often crop up are women being worried that they're going to have to, go back to university or to school and have to retrain all over again. Or some have just they've been in the same industry so long they're worried they won't get taken seriously. Sometimes it's about confidence. But everybody has a slightly different combination, so everybody's unique as well.
Right. And do you specialise then in placing them in new careers or starting new businesses or a mixture of the two?
That's a really good question. It's a mixture, yeah. It's both. It's probably more often changing career, but going in, starting up their own business comes up as well.
Yeah, because I guess there's such a trend now, isn't there, for entrepreneurs to start up their own businesses, and it's something that you can do from your own home with quite a small investment now, with the internet and the ability to create your own website and all of these things. It's something that I guess people didn't really have that opportunity maybe 10 years ago or so. So I was just wondering if you see more people taking that route as opposed to taking a sort of set career path.
I think there is a trend overall for growing entrepreneurship, as you said, and I think often people are combining the two as well. So whether they're doing a part-time job and a part-time business, or maybe they're doing a business in the evenings. And I think another fantastic trend is the growing number of organisations run by women for women. So women are learning now to come together a lot more than we used to. So that's fantastic too.
Yeah, that's true actually, isn't it? People have gone from just having one job to like multiple jobs and wearing multiple hats almost. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, years ago you'd have the same job for 30, 40 years or something, and now people do different jobs, they move into different careers, they may move between being self-employed and working for an employer, and all sorts of things are going on.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's great that things are changing, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
Yeah.
So I can't wait any longer. Tell me about your transition from graphic designer to fish scientist. I don't even know what a fish scientist is. I just can't wait to hear about this. Tell us all about that.
Well, it's certainly something that I never expected to happen. I wanted to be a designer from when I was about 12 years old. I just loved design. And I knew that's what I was going to do. I was quite lucky because I think lots of people, they probably start out knowing what they want to do, and then subtly or less subtly they get talked out of it and coaxed into doing something more sensible, for want of a better word. And I don't know, I just didn't really listen to any of that kind of stuff. So I became a designer. I actually struggled to get into design school. I kept having to apply. It took me years, but I did it. I did it, I loved it, and I worked in design for about 10 years, and I loved it. And I just kind of assumed I'd be doing that the rest of my life. And then at one point I took 3 months off to go travelling, and I met a group of divers. They just talked about diving constantly, and I thought, well, you know, something was amazing, I've got to give it a go. I'd never thought about diving in my life before.
Yeah.
And I did it, and it was another world. It's another world that's in this world. And I remember seeing the fish and the coral and thinking, I'm not going to be a designer anymore.
Wow.
And I had no idea what that was or how I would get into it. And I hadn't studied any science since I was about 15. So when I did come back to the UK, and that feeling persisted, so I worked with a career coach to help me work out how I was going to go from designer to fish scientist.
Yeah.
So fish scientists do different things. The kinds of things that I was doing was looking at how fish interact with their environment, so the impact they have on the river that they're living in. That was, you know, my specialty, and what impact the river has on them. There's different types of fish scientists, so you could be doing conservation or, you know, so saving species, or you might be helping the fishing industry be more effective. There's all sorts of different things that you can do.
Wow, amazing. And then you actually went on to do a PhD in that area, is that right?
No, it was all lined up. But,
okay.
That's probably going to be part of one of the challenges that you're going to come to later.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was, my life was very much moving in that direction. I was emigrating and I was going to do this PhD, but more of that later.
Okay, intriguing. So, like, how did you actually transition from graphic design? I mean, you said you worked with a coach. Like, I guess you didn't have any experience in that. Did you do some work experience or an internship, or how do you go from one career to a completely different one with no experience? What's the secret to that?
Well, I dipped my toe in the water with some distance learning. So nowadays there are many universities in the UK that do that because of the internet, but back then when I did that, there was one university that was famous for its distance learning. So I did like a 3-month course with them, and I thought, you know, I'll do this course, I kind of get it out of the system, and, you know, my life will carry on as I planned it. And I just loved it. The more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And I found a job with an aquarium. They wanted somebody to talk to the public about the species that they had there and about conservation. So you didn't have to have a huge level of science knowledge to do that. You know, I could learn what I needed quite quickly, and use the communication skills that I had from design in that job. So I combined my existing skills with this newer interest. So it went from there, really.
Right. And do you find that when you work with people now that people have so many transferable skills that it's just a case of sort of applying them in different areas, I guess?
Absolutely, yes. People do get worried. You know, they say, I've only worked in, let's say, marketing. You know, how could I become a musician? It's just the first thing that came to me. But I think as my own example shows, you can really go from one end of the spectrum to the other. And there are so many things that you would do in one job that are useful in the other. So in the example I just mentioned, marketing, communication, dealing with people, planning, all of these things are going to be useful for any other career that you take up. And funnily enough, you know, I found graphic design to be useful in my fish science career.
Wow.
And I found elements from the science work that I did to be useful in coaching. I put that together with communication. It's amazing how these skills that you think are so specific are actually really easy to transfer into another area.
Right, that's incredible. And do you find then as well that people really struggle with beliefs? Like, because I've studied NLP, I think you have as well, and you know, beliefs is obviously a core part of NLP. How is it? Do you find that as soon as people believe in themselves, that they can actually make that change, that really gives them the energy to go ahead and do it?
Yes, and the great thing is that nobody has to go from what I might think of as perhaps I hate to use the word normal, but like a normal level of confidence, which is it goes up and down. Some days it's higher, some days it's lower. So anybody who's listening to this and who's thinking, my confidence is a bit shaky, the great news is you don't have to suddenly switch on, oh, suddenly I'm amazingly confident.
Yeah.
Each of us, the way we do it is we take little steps, we practice things, we take small, calculated risks, and we try new things, and we build our confidence that way. And maybe confidence always fluctuates. I don't know. I'm still building mine. And I think that maybe instead of going up and down at this level, maybe it goes up and down at that level. So it's higher overall. But you don't have to make an amazing switch in one go. You can build it step by step. And yes, I'm constantly asking the clients that I work with to do things that they don't normally do, to do things that feel a bit challenging, perhaps even downright scary at times. But only when I truly believe in them, and I believe that they can do it, and I help them see how they can do it as well. So we kind of work on lots of different things at once. So it's you don't have to build your confidence first before you can take the practical steps. In a way, it's almost the other way around often. Wow. You take the practical step first, even while it's still feeling challenging.
That's so
and then you go, oh, I did it.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I was talking to Professor Bob Sutton, actually, from Stanford University, who's written a book recently, and he was telling me the same thing. We were discussing, do beliefs change behaviour, or does behaviour change beliefs? And the research that he'd done showed that both ways work. So like you said, sometimes just taking the action will change the belief, because you're proving to yourself that actually you are like, if you behave confidently, then you're automatically going to feel more confident, aren't you? It's quite an interesting way of going about it.
A really simple example is body language. So, if people want to sort of sit for a minute, like, chest held high, shoulders back, smile, deep breath, yeah! Or if you want to go, oh dear, and you can actually feel that within you, and that's just a tiny example. So, I think the two do feed into each other, and it's like a virtuous cycle. So you do one, and it builds the other, and that builds you to do the next one, and it just keeps going up and up and up. It's great.
Yeah, I love that. So let's move on to the challenges. You had a series of really tough things happen to you in your life that kind of almost triggered some big changes. Just talk us through what happened and how you dealt with that.
Yeah, definitely. So I was working in a charity, so my charity career followed on from the science career. I was working in a charity and I loved it, and things were going really well. And so then my husband's beloved dog died, and that was really sad. That was a big thing to deal with. And then I think the next month I was made redundant or laid off from my job. So I was still planning to do the PhD at this point and emigrate, so it was fine because I've been saving a lot of money and it's going to be okay, and we were going to manage it still. And then a good friend of mine committed suicide. A friend's sister died. Her husband's died.
Oh my goodness.
And the government withdrew the funding for my PhD because of various reasons, but the whole programme just disappeared. So that took away the money and the work visas. And then probably the one that was the hardest for me was my beloved cat died. And my cats are like my children. So that was a huge, huge blow for me. And those things all happened in 9 months.
Oh my goodness.
I just collapsed, basically. I had weeks and weeks of just crying, and I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't go to work. I had to leave I found a new job in a charity, in another charity from that time. I had to just, they were so kind to me, but in the end I just had to say I'm not going to come back because I couldn't recover while I was still trying to fit, work in my things. So that just went on. The crying went on for weeks.
Wow.
And then when that, and things were so awful that I did actually want to commit suicide. And it's even really hard for me to say now because I just think, oh my gosh, if I'd done that, what would I have missed out on? What would I have left behind? And
Yeah.
it's really sad to think about it.
Yeah.
As that thankfully there was just a tiny glimmer of recovery, and just that glimmer gave me the ability to sort of look around. I need some help, I need to rebuild my life. And again, I just knew my life was not going to be the same.
Yeah.
I found, I remembered coaching, and I found the law of attraction, and I found emotional freedom technique, and I put those three together, and they helped me climb out of the pits of despair and rebuild my life in such a fantastic way. And as I was rebuilding again, I knew that my career was changing because I really wanted to help people the way that I'd been helped. So that's what brought me to working in coaching.
That's an incredible story, and it must have been such a devastating time for you. So many things, happening one after the other in such a short period of time. So I can't even imagine how hard that would have been.
Yes, and looking back on it now, I think probably I thought I was dealing with things. I thought I was sort of allowing myself to feel the emotions of each one of them. But I think probably I was trying to hold it all together and just keep going.
Right.
And the last one just totally blew that out of the water. And he said, you were going to deal with your feelings now, right now.
Wow. And you mentioned that there was a little tiny glimmer. What triggered that glimmer, do you think? What was that? Was there one particular moment when you sort of saw that glimmer of hope? Can you remember?
That's such a fantastic question, and nobody's asked me that before. I think it was the first time I was able to go out, and there's a fantastic live music scene where I live, and I hadn't gone out, and I barely left the house in about 5 months, and I went to this event, and somebody said, I haven't seen you in 5 months, and or in months, and I didn't know him terribly well, so I didn't go into the details, but I said, I've been going through some stuff. But I was there and enjoying the music, and I think it was that moment probably marks the. I've been doing some things to help, but I think that afternoon probably marked the difference between my old life and my new life.
Yeah, wow, incredible. And so the key things for you that really pulled you out of that were law of attraction. You mentioned EFT and coaching together. Like, I'm curious with law of attraction. How do you differentiate between feeling a behaviour and then not attracting more of that same thing? I mean, perhaps you can explain to the viewers like how law of attraction works briefly. That's a big question, but surface level. Yeah, surface level, how it works. And I'm just curious, how did you use that to pull yourself out of all of those, all of that hardship?
Well, I think that the law of attraction teachers that I'm interested in, so that would be Abraham Hicks and Jack Canfield, they always encourage you to be you and to feel your emotions and not to pretend. They're not big believers in fake it till you make it. I don't think, I'm summarising.
Yeah.
They do believe in feeling your emotions.
Right.
And I think one of the things I've learned from Abraham Hicks is just do one thing to just feel a tiny bit better. You don't have to go from grieving to absolute joy and bliss. Yeah. You can take it one step at a time. You can just enjoy the sunshine for 5 minutes. Just even doing that. So it's just about building on those little steps. So whatever you feel able to do, whether it's being grateful that I've got a supportive husband, being grateful I've got friends, being grateful I've got 3 meals a day, anything that you can find to be grateful is going to help you make your way up the different feelings to where joy is your real feeling. And I haven't yet met anybody who is joy 24 hours a day, every day. Maybe it's okay to fall off the pedestal and feel sad. Just remember that you want to feel good again.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important, isn't it? Because there is that, I think especially for professional women, professional people in general, there's such high expectations and you're kind of constantly driven to achieve really great things. And, sometimes it is about just paring it back to the small baby steps and not getting overwhelmed by, you know, the end goal and how you're going to get there, but just the daily activities that you can do to get yourself towards that goal.
Absolutely, and I love that you say daily as well. I'm a big believer in daily things that we do, the things that we do every day. And I think particularly as women, looking after ourselves can be something that we neglect. You know, everyone else comes before our own needs. Again, when I'm coaching women, I really encourage them to have rewards and to take care of themselves and to take them out and to do things they enjoy.
Yeah. Great. So if you had one piece of advice for people then who were going through kind of a lot of challenges, what kind of tip would you give them? What could they do straight away today? I mean, that's a great one that you've just given us there about perhaps just finding that one thing that you can do to make yourself feel better. Is there another one that you can give people just that they can start doing today to make themselves, help them overcome any significant challenges they're facing?
I think daily gratitude is a lovely thing to do. So even if it's, I managed to get out of bed today, and I'm grateful that I was able to do that. Yeah. So that's a good one. You know, whether you can think of one thing or 50 things, whatever you can think of, and writing it down as well, because I think writing it down really fixes it in the brain. So gratitude and achievements as well, so daily achievements. And it doesn't have to be running a marathon, saving, you know, ending world hunger. It can be, I gave my daughter a healthy meal after school, or I was kind to my husband when I was tired and irritable, or I bought myself a new lipstick and cheered myself up. You know, those things are really important as well. And again, writing them down so that over time, you know, you build up a load of victories and a load of self-care and nice things that you've done for yourself. Yeah,
I love that, and it's funny. I was just reading.
So I was just going to say those are quite general things. Are you thinking about? Were you thinking about careers, or did you want me to keep it quite general?
Yeah, just general. Yeah. Okay. And I think that's great. I was writing an article actually about Mother Teresa, and that completely reminds me of some of the things that she used to say. And one of her quotes was, "If you can't feed 100 people, then just feed one." You know, and it's that whole. Sometimes we blow these things up out of proportion and we try and do all these grand things when really we just need to start very small, don't we? Just do something small and that will still help the situation.
That's right. And she said another one as well, which I can't remember the lovely wording she said, but it's something along the lines of, you know, we're always wanting to do these amazing world-changing things, and then we're not quite sure how to do those. So why don't we change something, you know, immediately in front of us? Just change one little thing.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So let's sort of fast forward to where you are now then. So you're obviously doing the career coaching, and that's specialising with professional women. And where can people find you, like if they wanted to work with you? What kind of things have you got going on at the moment? Have you got specific courses, or how can people get in touch with you and work with you?
Well, the best way to get started is to go to my website, which is See Change Life. So C as in oceans. Yeah. And if women just enter their first name and their email address, then they will get my video, which is 6 steps to career change success for professional women. And I also send out tips every 2 weeks. So those are tips that are specifically aimed at professional women who want to change their careers. And I do see careers as being a part of life. You know, there are other aspects of life that are really important as well, like fun and family and health and making the world a better place and all sorts of things. So I suppose everything I'm saying is coming from this perspective of leading a whole life. But yeah, the tips are very much focused on career change within that sort of life.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I highly recommend everyone jumps over to Mhairi's website and gets their hands on a copy of that video. I think, you know, it's been so nice talking to you today, Mhairi. You've got such a beautiful, calm energy about you. It's like really, it's been really enjoyable talking to you, and you've obviously got a lot of wisdom and knowledge when it comes to changing careers. You've lived through it yourself, so thanks so much for sharing some of your more personal stories with us today as well. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure the viewers will get a lot out of that too.
Thank you, Zoe. Well, I just think it's important for people to know that coaches aren't perfect. You know, we're humans.
That's true.
I think it helps to know you're working with another human being who has challenges in their life.
That's very true. Yeah, I think sometimes there's an expectation, isn't there, that because you do this work, you're perfect or you figured it all out. But I don't think anyone ever figures it all out. I don't know about you, but
I mean, that's why we're here, isn't it? To figure it out and to each year learn more and get better at it.
Yeah, and I guess as Abraham was saying, that's part of the expansion, isn't it? That's how the contrast is how we expand. That's how we learn about ourselves and grow through those periods of hardships.
It sure is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for today. It's been wonderful talking to you, Mhairi. And thank you everyone for watching today. This has been Life Change TV, and we will be back again next week with more changes on life change. Until next time.